Ohio that owns the river. These surveys were not monumented according to the, again, county's own rules and laws, or the state law. And yet they have been approved for transfers. Mr. Johnson, the township trustee, and his wife signed a land contract on this here, supposedly 2 tracts of land, and it was to be consummated in November of 2010, which I have no idea now whether they did consummate the deal or if it is still in limbo or where it is. I have no idea. But they applied for an operating permit, which Mr. Kirsch at the Health Department in 2009 recommended that the Health Department grant Mr. Kessler this better variance, which then allows 12 months of discharge into the Muskingum River, where the original one was for 6 months summer use only. This sure don't sound like a recommendation of a Board of Health or a Health Department staff member that's obeying the intent of the law. So it pretty much boils down to here, Mr. Kessler wants you to give him half of a street so he can collect his $42,500 that he's selling this to the Johnsons. If you give him half the street, he will have some land to give him. The rest of it's Muskingum River water. I don't see where this would do the benefit the general public down there in any way. Now, at a viewing and a hearing 3 years ago, when the Johnsons wanted the north end of Water Street vacated so they could get the land for free, it was mentioned that he could build a fence to the corner of his property. And he then put up a concrete barrier at the corner of his property. Now, at this other end of Water Street, if Clark Hunter there, that owns lots 9 and 10, would put up such a barrier, a truck then would not be able to make that turn with this mobile home in the street, which the county engineer seems to see it is no obstruction in the street, according to his testimony a couple of weeks ago. And the way it worked is the Johnson's renter was able to make that turn with his semi-trailer rig because the trailer would encroach on Clark Hunter's property. He had to get the front end right against the trailer when he'd make the turn, and the semi-tractor, and then the trailer would encroach on his property. Ergo, if he put a fence or whatever out the corner of his property, a semi and probably maybe my straight truck couldn't make that turn then. This street is narrowed down to 33 feet. It just don't make sense that somebody would want you to give him property. I guess his logic is that makes it legal then, that he put this in illegally for all these years.
Mr. Kessler, did you have something that you want to say?
Well, part of your rules are wrong, what you said about me going to the township. I went to the township and I found out the township owned the land. And to make the story right, the township didn't own the land. People I bought off of owned the land. Okay, so we get all this right. And when I put the system in, they okayed it for a campsite basically, to be used seasonal. So when it went up for sale, I went back and had to redo it because the system is designed to handle 2 bathrooms. Now, I think you need to get all your facts right. Well, nobody did anything wrong there. The health department didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong.
The facts are you applied to put that system in on your land at 8701
Did
Water.
it hurt you? What did this do to you? Let me ask you that question. What did this do to you? Just answer my question. What did this do to you? Please tell me. What does this do to you?
I just explained to them if they would give you half of that street and my brother there would fence the corner of his property, then it becomes a problem.
Why does there need to be an 18-wheeler through there to start?
How's the 18-wheeler going to get out? It's a dead-end street.
Because the commissioner...
Because what?
vacated that other end illegally.
That, we're not here about the other end, that's
Well, now
done,
you
that's
just
water over the
mentioned
dam.
it. You just mentioned the street closed off, what are we here about, then you're arguing that point. The
I'm
point-
arguing, what are you gonna do with
the
the
point-
18-wheeler down there? First of all, I've been there since 1997, and I bet you I ain't seen 10 18-wheelers go down through there. And I
Well,
parked my boat.
here's Van Cooney's been through there, they've seen me use it with my truck.
What truck?
My son-in-law used the street.
I had a boat sitting
Sandy's
right there.
never used it.
Nobody's ever had a
You had
problem.
boats parked in the street
Suppose
right
that's
away
just been
also.
for aggravation,
Now look,
not really any
at the
reason.
last hearing on Water Street where you want it vacated, you sat right here and made the statement. Water Street is nothing but a convenience for the people that use it. Now, the law says that the commissioners are to consider the convenience and welfare of the public. And I mean, if it's a convenience for the people that used it, you hit the nail on the head there.
I just don't,
Never travels that way.
I think you have nothing.
I
else
traveled
better
The point
to do.
is, you want to give
Many
them
times.
land
Oh,
for
buddy,
$42,500. It's as simple as that.
You don't even live down there.
Huh?
But I own property in Blue Rock
That's good.
Township.
Where do you live?
Where do I live?
Yeah.
I have property on Shady Lane, I have property on Water Street, I have property here, I got property there.
Where do you live?
That's irrelevant.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with
We're
it.
here
Why,
to talk about
then
it's
why do you
irrelevant.
ask him where he lives?
It's irrelevant. Both points are irrelevant. That's just what the subject is, though.
Well, he started the
Do you have
item.
anything to
We
add?
just don't have all your facts right.
Keep on.
Yes, I do. It's all in the minutes, official minutes
Is
of
there a
the
need for a
township
semi
meetings
to be
and the
back
health
there now with,
department meetings.
with the upper end closed? What do
If
you
there's
do?
if there's a hope that Water Street's open back up, and this is basically all I got to say, is we asked Mr. Johnson at the end of the viewing if he needed to close Water Street. His exact words to us, well, no, we asked him if he was going to move the little gray house. He said, I don't need to, but I'm going to. My question now is, if he doesn't need to move that house, is there enough property there that Water Street could have been left alone and he could have built this multi-million-dollar restaurant? Because this Water Street thing has caused a problem. I mean, it's caused a major problem. I mean, you know, every time, like I said, every time I go to turn around, I have to have a spotter. I can't back across 60 and do it legally.
And if-
I mean, it's
If I
a,
could ask you a question, and this was before I was here, why did we abandon this alley? that-
Yeah.
That I'm seeing,
Because-
the only, that would be the only access to make that.
You can't,
You
that's
can't-
only
well, you
16
can't
feet
turn a
If it
truck
wide.
at
hadn't been
60
closed,
foot.
there was no
Anything.
problem. It's a 66-foot right-of-way with a blacktop street.
But my question is,
The reason
was
I
the
had it
reason to
closed
close it?
because the township trustee, Mr. Johnson there, and his wife said that they had that alley opened up. And that made it convenient for everybody there, that them closing the street then, this made it convenient for everyone. Now, you weren't here, Mr. Levy wasn't here. That's a 16.5-foot alley is what it was. It had never been improved over the 21 years, and the Ohio Revised Code says the adjoining landowners can petition to get it, which I did, with a legal petition. The process, though, took 2 years after I handed Mr. Hill there the petition to do it.
Did you
This
see-
Water Street end up here laid for 2
you see
years
what
in
I'm
limbo.
trying to figure out in my mind is, if we want a convenience for all you property owners down there, why did we close that alley?
it's not
Because
wide
Because
enough to
16
do
and a
it.
half feet is not a
You can't.
convenience.
Well, if you're
For
going
a
to
street
share
sign.
See, a semi,
Truck,
Ten
take
feet
your
wide,
truck,
no.
drive on that.
Other traffic, yes, for standard four-wheel could, but with a semi-truck off tracks. Anybody that drives, the
I
tractor follows
understand
one
you
track,
can't get turned in.
you can't turn a truck in
I
there.
understand that.
You know, that was a major thing.
May I say something?
But if we have concerns about the general public, I still can't figure out why we closed that
Well,
alley.
why did we close a street that was already maintained in Blacktop and
For-
66 feet wide?
Right.
That,
Yeah, that is the difference.
See,
We got
that's-
an alley that had never been open and a street that was open and used.
And used, right.
Now, the other
Do
point
you have a
is,
question back there?
Nobody knew where the alley was until they had it surveyed. It hadn't been used for, well, these gentlemen here lived there
Never
all
been
their
used.
lives. They're in their 60s and they've never seen, it was never used. It's just grass.
It's on the map.
But
We
nobody
mowed
ever
across
used
it for years.
So
It was never
I
maintained.
mowed
It was
all
never
this
open.
land, my trailer was
But-
on too.
But
It
why
was
did
an
you close
unimproved
a perfectly good street? Last time I was here, Dorothy Montgomery was here. She told me, she said, well, about closing the upper part of the street. Well, couldn't you go up to the church's parking lot and turn around there? Why should I turn around? I drove semi and I drove around there. I use the street constantly. In fact, Mr. Johnson seen me use it. Now, he quoted that when he said